Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited for today's conversation. I'm joined by Ken Bock, CEO and co-owner of ClearConnect, a technology services company based in rural north central Idaho that's grown from serving small businesses on the campus prairie to supporting clients across multiple states. ClearConnect helps businesses with internet connectivity, managed IT business voice, and building security. But what stands out is how they anchor all of that in clear principles, things like respecting people in their work, building for the long haul, and making security approachable instead of shame-driven. Ken, thanks
It's a
for
good
being
summary.
here. Good.
Thanks for having me, Kirk.
Yeah, let's start with a little bit of context by starting out. Tell me a little bit about your business in Idaho's Camas Prairie, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, ClearConnect, we're a small MSP, and we started off with just one client, which was the company that I was working with at the time. They became our first client for ClearConnect from a business partner when we got going. Being in a rural part of the country, it's a pretty small business community. And one of the things that motivated us were like, wow, we need to do something to help out the issue here that there was multiple data breaches for other companies in the area before we got going. In a place like this, if you have a breach and people get let go, they're not going to necessarily go find other jobs in the economy. They're going to have to leave the area. And that's something where it's just like, okay, we can't take those types of hits. The other thing that was coming up as a big issue that there was something that needed to be done was if an IT guy was going to go on vacation from another business to get cover, they had to reach out to somebody else from one of the other neighboring businesses. We're like, okay, here we were trying to cover each other's vacations at our neighboring businesses. Like this isn't a good solution here.
I love it. It's not great, but I do love it.
But I mean, it's something where it's like rising water raises all ships. That's a common saying we've had from the very beginning. Just because we're in the same field or maybe even competitive in some ways for our trade, that doesn't mean that the other guy's a bad guy or anything like that. There's a way for us all to work well together. So we just raise the standard, and that's where that principle of respecting one another, respecting what their work really comes from, is like we have to be respectful. Otherwise, it's going to turn ugly and turn negative for things. It doesn't need to be that way. We can just all do good work together.
That makes sense. Do you feel like that is in part because of the kind of the rural community? Because I feel like if you kind of try to implement this whole same idea as if you were in, let's just say Boise, right, a large metropolitan in Idaho, do you think that you'd be able to have that same success? Obviously, it'd be different because it's the Boise metropolitan and you've got all these businesses. I feel like there'd be a lot more competition versus a rural community that's a little bit more like, hey, we're in it together. We're here to support each other. Let's help each other out.
Yeah,
That's what I guess that's what I'm asking.
Oh, no, that's a good question. It's appropriate. So we kind of treated the Idaho Camas Prairie as a little bit of a petri dish as a test model for this business. For my business partner and I, we're both from actual cities outside the area. He's from the Kansas City area. I'm from the Portland, Oregon area. So we moved into this little area. It's like, okay, we're here to stay. How do we make this thing work? Some of the habits that small communities have, which I absolutely love. It's the first place where I could say, honestly, I experienced the word community was here. You go into a grocery store in a major city, you'll see 1,000 people along your journey. Maybe you'll recognize one or two.
Maybe.
In a small community like this, yeah, right. In a small community like this, you're probably going to know half the people that you see, and you're getting to know one another over decades. It's a very different social dynamic. With that, there comes a little bit more grandfathered competition because it's like, well, this is the person or the business I've always worked with. I've always worked with them. Well, why do you work with them? It's, you've got these frustrations about services or rates or delivery times. Well, yeah, but I've always worked with them. And my dad always worked with them. And my so on and so forth. And it's like, wow, there's no chance of competition. There's a different competition dynamic there. Here we are now, we're getting into our 7th year, and we are working largely because of reputation and referral with a lot of clients in other states. We have grown from the initial 2-person team of my business partner and I. We now have 12 people.
Oh, nice.
We actually do have an office down in Dallas, Texas, and the model is continuing to be successful down there. So it's really going off of that reputation referral and going into those smaller conversations that really has mattered. First and foremost, it's just taking care of people. And that shows in conversations what your motivation, what your purpose is. When you get working with people like that and they can read that, it's like, okay, yeah, I could have sold maybe 1,000 units or whatnot, but I'm working with 50 or 60 clients who we really partner well with, and we haven't lost anybody. Across all of our years, I think we have maybe quote unquote parted ways with one client. And that was something where they just had a misunderstanding of our business model. And so it was like, okay, that just wasn't a good partnership for us. But that's how we look at our customers. They're partners with us in their business.
Okay. I like that. That makes sense. Do you feel like that maybe you lost out on opportunities because you've been so focused on actually having partners versus just trying to get as many customers as you possibly can?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely been some interactions where it's like that could have been something that we could have tweaked the numbers or maybe given a little bit more of ourselves in a particular relationship, but it was going to be a bad relationship. So I don't look at that as much as a loss as just simply a bad situation that we didn't want to enter into. That's really how
Okay.
we look at those opportunities. I mean, do you regret not going out with someone crazy in high school? No.
No. No.
Yeah, usually when we start the interaction, I'm like, okay, hey, we're going to learn about your business. You're going to learn about us, how it is we do things during those first 90 days. It's really going to be us doing professional documentation, learning about your business, writing down processes, making sure that we've got the right stem flow across the network and different applications, what departments work, and all those sorts of things. With small and micro businesses, as any MSP owner will know, they do not have a good scope of work. They just don't. It's, well, Susie does this because Susie's always done this. Okay, well, what's her title? She's the Susie. And it's like, okay, well, wait a second. So when we get started, I always tell people it's kind of like us just starting to date. We're learning about one another, but we're really building this into a marriage. It's for a long-term thing. We're not going to come in here, sell you one quick thing, put it in place, and then you never hear from us again. That's not the idea. The idea is for us to put this in, learn about your business, learn about what it is that you're needing, and then help get those things set up. They're going to benefit you. So I have been the quote unquote sales guy for this whole time, but we're customer service focused first. It's just whatever you're needing to best operate your business, that's what we're going to do.
Okay. I like that. And it's interesting,
It's worked for
obviously.
us.
Hey, yeah. I mean, and that's what you want, right? You need to be successful as a business. It's interesting because, looking on your website, you actually have your 5 guiding principles: work together, succeed together, and build for the long haul. And you've just described that perfectly. That's not just something you just throw up on your website to be like, hey, let's just do this. You're actually doing that, which I think adds value and credibility to you and your company.
And genuinely, we have been very, very blessed. God is good all the time. My business partner, he has had his eyes on what it is that he's wanting to do, what we're wanting to do. Every person that we bring into the team, it's been very intentional about what is it that they're bringing and adding to the team, and are they working well with others? Not that we're all perfect. I have no illusions about that, but everybody's trying and everyone's put their best effort through. It shows up with the customers. And it's one of those things that we always look forward to when we start getting those positive feedbacks about the team. We do send follow-ups to the customers. Hey, how'd this go? What something went well? What's something we can improve on? When we get the feedback, it's always so-and-so was absolutely amazing. They really took care of me, and they really took the time to make sure that things went and fit and did just what they needed to do. And it's like, okay, that's great. I love it. That's what we're here for. If you buy a computer, you get a computer off a shelf, you plug it in. Well, now you got to go migrate all your icons. You got to set up your taskbars. You got to make sure your program's in place. And people always forget about that. And so like, what is this time that you guys estimate on here? And because we estimate time for transitioning. It's never enough time. It's not appropriate that way, but we have to put in a little bit there because awareness for the customer that this is a process, awareness for our installers, this is a process. It's all going to take time, and please take the time to do it right and take care of them. They appreciate that.
Yeah. Even me as a customer, obviously I'm starting my own business and whatnot, but even as a customer, I like to be taken care of. Whether you're a business that's in a business with another company or whether it's a customer business relationship, people like to be taken care of, especially when they've signed up for some type of capability, product, service, they want to be taken care of. So I was looking, and you have a phrase: security without shame, meeting clients where they are without judgment, especially if they've had limited IT support or messy environments in the past. How has that mindset changed the kinds of customers you attract and the depth of the relationships you build?
That's a good question. People get embarrassed when they click on a bad link. The
Guilty.
reality is everybody does it. So with that no shame, it's like, okay, look, something happened. All right, let's just get to it. Let's get fixing it. We're not going to sit here and berate someone over the fact that they clicked and did a bad thing. We'll follow up with them and have a conversation with them, probably follow up with their manager if that's something which they have as a process. We always encourage all of our customers when we get going is, look, we can help you write something as far as the security process goes, but you need to have a security process. You need to have something written down to encourage your team. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And we need you to be intentional about security. The fact of the matter is we can put all the software, AI, hardware tools in there whatsoever. The weakest link in every single community is going to be someone clicking on a link. People just don't want to understand that. And That's hard, but you can't shame people on it. If you shame people on it, they're never going to work with you whatsoever. It's not about shaking a finger and get someone embarrassed and get them to lose their job. No, it's trying to get them to understand you're a part of your business and you're part of everyone's security here. One of the conversations we'll have will be about professional liability insurance. When you do things the right way, professional liability insurance, it's going to cover you. When you go against what your standard operating procedures are, it no longer works. That's the part where we really lean heavily into the education. It's not about this is Ken's way of doing things. Like, no, this is what the insurance companies, this is what your business require, and we're gonna make sure you got the tools and the understanding on how to do it right.
Well, and that makes sense too, from my perspective, someone that's worked in the cybersecurity world before. There is a human factor to security. The truth is that, well, some people are really good at emphasizing and teaching security and cybersecurity, and hey, you don't click on this link. There's a lot that don't get that practical hands-on experience or that education of. There's people out there that are trying to do bad things, and you got to do all you can to protect yourself.
Yeah, that's where we partner with the companies at the top. It's like, look, we're not coming in here as someone dictating to you, this is what you must do. We are here as advisors, consultants, and a part of your team to help position things the way that you're wanting to do it. But you as the owner, the manager, the operator, you got to be the one stating the rules. That's where, hey, let's come back. Let's state what your SOP for security is and what rules you're wanting everybody to follow. We're encouraged and help set things up for success, and we'll make sure you have the tools, the means to do that. But you got to be the one stating that and directing that from the top. I can't come in and say, hey, everybody, you need to start doing this now in company ABC. That's not my position, and no one's ever going to work with me on that one. So you got to state what it is that you're wanting for your business. We're going to work with you to help craft that in the best way possible for your success so you can continue to grow and not have to worry about it. Just focus on your business.
I do like it. Follow-up question and a little bit of a change of topic slightly. MSPs everywhere are starting to feel a squeeze. There's a lot more competition. There's more noise. Client acquisition is at the top of the pain list for a lot of providers right now. Instead of just spending more on ads or outbound, how are you rethinking acquisition at ClearConnect? What's actually moving the needle for you? Geography, vertical focus, partnerships, public sector work. What's working?
Yeah.
What's not?
I think it's Brian Chasen's study that he did years ago where he was talking about the acquisition of a new customer versus retaining an existing customer is going to be 10x the cost. The thing is, if you just simply focus on retaining and developing the relationships with your customers, you are going to be making more money in the long haul. So with the MSP space, there are so many new companies that are coming up. I mean, you can't throw a rock without hitting as someone claiming to be an MSP these days. And an MSP, I'm sorry, it's not just one guy sitting in an office with a computer. He fixes a bunch of broken computers. That's not an MSP. An MSP is actually helping set guidelines, budgets, plans, following through on executing and implementing those things. There's installations, configurations, there's networks, there's security. It's not something that a one solo shop can do anymore. That's a computer break fix guy. Nothing against those guys, but that's not what an MSP is. For us, it has been focusing on taking care of our existing customers, helping them do more things more efficiently. And for us internally, making sure that things are documented, things are streamlined as much as possible internally, not for the sake of putting everybody in a mold, if you will, but making sure that all of our processes are as efficient as possible. The best type of new customer is one that is a referral from an existing customer. We have had years where we have not gone out and cold called. We have just acquired customers from either referrals or expanded operations with existing customers, but also brought down their budgets because we were doing things more efficiently. That's why we've gotten from 2 employees to 12. Now we're going into year 7 and putting out plans and operations on more people that we're looking to hire. So we're trying to grow. That method of just doing right and taking care of whoever it is that you're working with, it's been working.
On top of that, right now, you guys are up in Cottonwood, Idaho. What's been the direction of moving your office space to Dallas?
So we didn't move our office space. We acquired another business in Dallas and we're expanding that business following the same model of operation style that we have here. We're not moving. We're keeping this team here in Cottonwood, Idaho, serving a 10,000 person county.
Okay.
Yeah, we are using some more remote tools and services to accomplish certain things. For example, VoIP systems. We lean on them for a lot of the setup configuration of some items, but for the final setup for the individual customer, we'll do all that. And we'll work directly with the customer. That way, rather than us trying to put out some white label tool, That's going to take more of our time and not be as good for the customer at the end of the day. Let's work with a good, proven vendor to do the right thing. If we're truly being an MSP, we have to be planning for redundancy, setting up tools and operations that require me to have a localized server in one place in Cottonwood, Idaho, is not setting up the customer for success. So we have to plan ahead that way. With the other operation in Texas, it is its own office, its own team and operation. There's some resources and benefits that both offices will get from one another, where since we're buying and sharing the same tools, we're able to help drive down costs for our customers and drive down costs for both sides. That's been some of that protection that we have. So looking into protection and ongoing growth of the company, keeping that smaller organic MSP in each of the local areas, but then acquiring and working with other MSPs in select places. That's the long-term strategy that we're continuing to work with. Kind of an MSP of MSPs, if you will.
Okay. Yep. I like it. That makes sense. Looking out over the next 2 to 3 years, what are some of the main bets you're making about how small businesses and public sector organizations will buy IT and connectivity? How are you positioning ClearConnect now and maybe even Idaho for Idaho, so you're ready for those shifts instead of having to react to them later?
Yeah, Idaho for Idaho, it's a wonderful project business that I'm launching here. We're kicking off here at the start of the new year. I'll go into that one in just a second. For the government sector's bet, everything with NDAA, TAA compliance is moving into North America. It's stepping away from all these Chinese products, Chinese services, and you're seeing that shift in some of the costs that we have here. Like for some reason, why is this particular model of a computer X amount, but this particular model over here is X times 3, it seems like. And it's like, well, you can guess where the manufacturer it is. The large bet that we're having, and in Boise, we also have the Micron facility that's going up. That is a massive, massive project. That's going to be dedicated largely to RAM storage devices, though I think there's actually going to be quite a bit of memory production over there as well. Anticipating some of these changes that were happening, that project started a little over a year and a half ago where they broke ground, but it's been in the works for several years. That's when you probably would want to be paying attention to, because it's going to be a major shift in not only Idaho's infrastructure, but the technology landscape that we've got coming. That's going to be the biggest change. There's going to be some rules and regulations with AI. Everybody knows because everybody's starting to use it. Not going to try and tackle every AI topic here, but if you think there's not legislation coming down in terms of direction on how the people are allowed to use it, you just got an illusion. That's going to be coming. The shift is going to be everything to American-based companies, North American-based manufacturers, and how it's going to interact. The government contractors, town agencies, municipalities, everything's going to be going smaller and smaller focus. They're going to go more and more local. And so making sure that you've got those items positioned and ready to go for that is probably the best advice that anyone could do right now.
Oh, yeah. For me, this is exciting. Like, I really do appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you and talk about some of the stuff because, as I said, obviously I'm doing these podcasts, but I am also starting my own business. This is an exciting opportunity for me to learn from people like you, resident experts that are already out there succeeding.
Never thought I'd hear myself being called an expert, but hey, here I am. I'm glad to talk with you.
Let's see. Did you want to talk any more about your Idaho for Idaho?
Yeah, so Idaho for Idaho, I mean, that's a passion. The thing that was here at the start for ClearConnect was about taking care of American business and growing American business. I mean, ClearConnect from an IT perspective is focused on redundancy, security, and developing companies that could continue to grow. Actually, when ClearConnect was first conceived, it was actually going to be a training school. It wasn't going to be a IT managed service provider. We were going to do a school. As we were going out, meeting with people and having those conversations, we got the same feedback. It's like, hey, this is great. I would love to have this training and have things all set up and have you guys come in and craft our budgets. Could you actually just help us do it? It's like, oh, well, you know what? Actually, let's just do it. And some of our product lines, that's how we got started with phones. We were not going to do voice over IP phones. That's not our focus. That's not what we wanted to be doing. But people kept on asking us, just do it, please. And it's like, okay, cool. We'll just step in and we'll start doing it. And people found that they really liked the way that we did it. So then we got a bunch of referrals on that. Same thing with security cameras and so many other tools that we use. Idaho for Idaho is in that same heart of that initial beginning where we're wanting to protect, build, and develop businesses. One of the challenges that myself and others around me have seen, especially rural communities, we have these great communities for developing and raising these wonderful kids, and then there's nowhere for them to go. They can't work locally, they can't buy a home, and so they leave. Communities pretty much stay level because it's only replacement. You're never going to actually continue growing. Your kids keep leaving the area to go and enrich some other community. I'm going to be selfish. My wife and I, we've got 7 kids. We got number 8 on the way. And I want to be able to have something that my kids can stay
by the
here.
way.
Thank you. Idaho for Idaho is working with local investors in local businesses that have not figured out that challenge of scaling or don't have a succession plan for when an owner or key manager is looking to retire and transition out. A way to, okay, we're going to keep this business going. We're actually going to be helping take it over and grow it organically within the area. The other challenge that every economy has, if you're just selling to other people in the economy, you're only circulating, you're not growing. So helping these businesses figure out and manage selling outside their community so they can actually bring capital into it. In a way, this is capitalism done right. Is kind of the way that my partner and I have looked at this and my group of investors that we're working with. It's still focused on those same principles of respecting one another, respecting the work of what it is that we do, and participating in doing things in the long term. Usually when you think of and look at something like a private equity company, they want to buy and flip something rather quickly. If we're not looking at selling anything, we're looking at just investing in these businesses, growing them to grow the jobs that are there and work and sell more remotely in order to bring more things into the community. We've got the team of managers, investors, and the business acumen to continue doing that. That's going to be my active focus going forward here.
Okay. I like it. Do you mind if I play devil's advocate for just a second?
Do it.
So as I think about this, you're talking about keeping children there, right? You're trying to keep them there. You're trying to keep them local, trying to help
It's
them.
not a prison.
I mean, you're right. I'm not saying it's a prison, but you've got 7 with another one on the way. And you're just like, I like them to stay local. I don't want them just to up and leave and go somewhere else and go benefit another community. Have you thought about the young kids that grow up on phones, technology, grow up seeing the outside world with instant gratification and the environment that we're living in? What's been your approach of overcoming some of those obstacles? Again, not that it's a prison, but how do you keep them motivated to stay local? Yeah, that's
good thought. I guess a better way to say it is that looking for ways to create opportunities to allow the opportunity for people to stay and grow within this community. That way they're not trapped by lack of opportunity or forced to leave because of lack of opportunity. The example earlier for the IT company where they have a data breach and they have to start laying people off because there's no work. That's something where it's like, now there's not a chance for other jobs. You can't go anywhere else. And I'm very happy to report that ClearConnect and our services out here, we haven't had a data breach for any of our customers since inception. And we're now going into year 7. There's been no impact or breach that has cost any of our customers anything, which is part of the reason why you have all those tools and that you have the team in place is to protect your clients. Protection is not necessarily creating opportunity. It's protecting your customers so that they can continue to grow and focus on their business. And that's one aspect that is absolutely necessary. The other one is with these businesses where you have maybe the force of a very powerful, great leader who starts a business or is managing a business. Eventually, people do age out. They get to the point where they got to retire, they hit burnout, want to go play with their kids, their grandkids, etc. The business needs to keep on going. So what's the business do if there's not someone ready to do that? What Idaho for Idaho will be doing is identifying those businesses that are ready or needing that sort of transition and helping them transition into that next step so they can continue living. A business does not have the same half-life that an individual does. Hopefully, they last significantly longer than an individual does. Look at some of these great companies that we've seen across the United States. They've been around for 80, 150 years. That's way past the professional life and expectancy of an individual person.
Oh, yeah. No, that makes sense. You bring up a good point, too. Several years ago, I was actually up in Paris, Idaho. It's just north of Bear Lake. It really is this little podunk town in southeast Idaho. While I was there, I was able to meet some of the other kids in the area. I was there in my college years. It is kind of remote. It's very much farmland type of environment. But a lot of the kids, yes, they wanted to go out and explore, but they also wanted to stay. Kids that have grown up on a farm surrounded by mountains and fresh air, coming to the city is kind of like, I'm good. But to your point, maybe they don't want to leave, but because of external circumstances and driving factors, that's not allowing them to stay. They have to leave to be able to continue to live a decent life. Obviously, money's not everything. You also don't want to be a bum on the street either. Yes.
There's a cost of living. Idaho County and the rural part of Idaho, the Clearwater Valley, most of the industry in this area is either farming or lumber. There's other companies that are around here too, but those are the 2 predominant industries. In both those cases, if you plant a tree, you got to wait so long before you can harvest it, and you can replant a new one in that location. For farming land, there's not any more growing land. There's nothing new on that one. So as technology has been progressing, farming methods have been getting more efficient. You can now have a combine harvester that has GPS location and pathing and routing. You have someone that's sitting in the combine, protecting it and making sure that things are going the right way, but they're basically babysitting at that point. They're large harvester babysitters to continue everything going.
Yes.
They know exactly what it is they're doing, but it's extended the life of the individual harvester. These machines are getting so much more efficient, you don't need to have as many of them either. Culturally, you continue having these big families, all these kids, which is a wonderful blessing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily meaning that that same harvest is the same yield as it was the year before, or those lumber loads or anything else, that there's necessarily more money coming around, or that there's more property going around for people. And farmers, very reasonably so, don't want to sell their farmland to start building houses because then they're yielding even less. Now, what do you do? Some communities are putting in high-rise apartments or something like that, but high-rise apartments don't add to a community because they're not property owners. They have a different level of investment in the community.
Yeah, they do.
The point and purpose of having local investors investing in the local economy is that it's going to be people who have the heart and intention with the investments to keep things going in the right way. The challenge that could come in is that with some of these businesses, when they age out, MSPs are particularly prone to this. They sell out outside money. Someone who doesn't know their customer base, who just looks at it and goes, hey, that's 500 seats right there. I'm going to take that and add that onto my company that's based out of Seattle or Kentucky or whatever else. And I'm going to just take this, flip it, charge so much for it. And that's what we're going to do. That's the exact opposite of what Idaho for Idaho is trying to do. And I would love it if there was chapters of businesses like this all over the place where it's like, hey, how do we continue to grow our community's economy organically through people who have the intention of trying to protect it and grow it? Everything needs to grow. You're growing or you're dying, but you can't force growth. You can't make things grow in different directions. That's called a mutation. So that's not what we want to do.
Haven't heard that one before, but I like it. It is a mutation.
Yeah. That's my philosophy coming out.
Cool. Well, Ken, I do appreciate your time. And I appreciate everything that you've shared with us today. You know, the information that you've shared, especially as I'm looking to get my own business off the ground and just reaching out with these podcasts, like it is very valuable. Thanks for tuning in today. Please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who'd benefit. My goal is simple: have real conversations with people doing meaningful work. If there's a potential guest I should talk to, send the note to the NorthForge Intelligence LinkedIn page. I'll see you next time.